welcome to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, Spencer. With me today, I have a very special guest. Now, I always say I have a very special guest, so to change it up, I take the person's first letter, their first name, and throw an adjective into it at the beginning. You know, that old classic improv game. And today with me, I have Rippling Royce. That's the first thing I thought of. So you are Rippling Royce.
Nice. Hey, I'll take it.
Great. How's it going?
Oh, everything's good. Yeah, can't complain. I mean, I could, but no one wants to hear that.
Yeah, no one does. We're all complaining. The world is complaining right now. Mother Earth is literally complaining right now, and we're not listening. And so she's going to keep complaining until we just listen and get it resolved.
Yeah,
But that's on us.
we just need Mother Earth to channel her inner Karen.
Yeah.
Just
Oh
annoy
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. Ask to speak to the manager. Everyone who's managing their own life. Like, listen, everyone. Here's the rules. That being said, let's just dive in. This isn't about Karens here on the Improv Summit, Karen edition, but in fact, it's the Improv Summit, another improv edition. And so, Royce, let's dive in to your improv experience. As much as I want to talk about Karens and their existence in the world and how there's no reason for them to exist in the world. Anyways, the point is, what is your background in improv? What is your improv experience?
So most of my improv experiences come like taking classes over at the Pack Theater, and also with Improv LA. I started doing improv. I guess, wow, I think it's been 8.5 years now. Um,
Wow.
I did it. I got into it because I was bored and wanted to meet new people, so I found an improv class on Yelp,
Mm.
and it kind of just went from there. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I get to be an adult playing pretend. So after taking classes, yeah, just kind of just been performing a little bit ever since, honestly. Um, and like just with different random shows, performing in different venues, and honestly, in the last year and a half, since Zoom improv has really become a thing, I've been fortunate to be able to play in shows that were based on 4 different continents. So something I never would have been able to do, most likely, outside of that.
That's great. I
Yeah.
love that. I love the idea of being able to play on different continents because that is one thing. I mean, improv is such an experience in person. There's this like energy in person, but online you're able to play with people you never would have otherwise played with, and that's something that's also really super fun, I think, too. But that being said, what do you love about improv? What makes you want to keep taking classes and keep performing and keep teaching and coaching and all this stuff? What do you love about improv?
For me, it's just one word: freedom. Freedom just to be yourself, and also freedom to not be yourself and be literally anyone or anything else. That's the biggest appeal of it to me, because you can just have fun. It's, like I was saying earlier, it's like you can be an adult playing pretend and really tap into your imagination, your inner child, like where you could just be silly, come up with whatever the first thing that comes to mind is, and play with that. So that's really it is. It just makes it's just a lot of fun to do, especially when you're playing with other fun people, and once you have that moment where everything gels together, yeah, it's great.
I love that. I love that. So there are a couple things you mentioned, like playing with fun people, things gelling together. To you, what are like elements of improv or moments in improv that feel like the fun is coming out and things are gelling together? Where's like an aha moment in that aspect?
Um, when I would say when you're a group of people, or you're just an individual, and they really take heed to the whole listening, like being an active listener, that makes things go very easy, and then where you're not just thinking about, okay, what am I going to do next? What's the next scene? And just not think, just let it be natural, but listening to what's going on. That's always an aha moment when you and your teammates, or the fellow players, when you setting other people up, like you're giving them an assist, like you're just lobbing it up for them to slam it home. That's when it's like, okay, this person knows how to do this. This is going to be fun. That's when it becomes more fun. It doesn't feel like work. It's all about, all right, let's see how far we can take this. Like that. That's
Mm-hmm. I love that. Now, I have an interesting, maybe a controversial question. I don't know, controversial as far as improv is concerned.
Mhm.
Um, we're always, you just mentioned this idea of like listening, and I love this. We always are told that yes and is like the number one rule of improv. The first thing you do in improv is yes and. I always argue that I think like listening would be the number one rule is first to listen and then yes and as the second rule. Would you agree or disagree with that statement of listening being the number like the first thing before yes and?
Oh, 100% agree. Because if you could say yes and, but it's like, what are you saying yes and to? Like, you just
Hmm.
caught the tail end of a statement and you picked the not funny line to go off of. Or you just kind of, you just said, oh, yes, and then pivoted completely differently, from what the intention was. So it's a lot of like, you have to be active listening with your, not just with your ears, but with your body too. Like, oh, okay, this person has put me like, I'm their brother. All right, I'm going to, carry myself a little bit different than if I was, their husband or their father or something. So you have to listen because that allows you to have a stronger yes and.
Mm, that's great. Stronger yes and because of listening. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Then
but
it's funny
actually,
yes and.
yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. That being said, this makes me think of like a couple of other things that I kind of want to dive into that I don't always ask on this show. But one thing I'm interested in is kind of going off of this yes and idea. And I'm vamping right now because I forgot the question, so I'm like rapidly thinking of it. But we can come back to that question if I remember because clearly it was an exciting question, so exciting that I forgot the question that I was going to ask. But that's okay. We can segue into something else. When you are performing an improv, so one thing that I have is that I have a bad memory. Clearly, I don't even remember the question I was going to ask. But I have a hard time remembering scenes that I do in the moment, especially like if I'm doing a herald and then like my character is brought back and I'm like, what did I do in the first? I don't even remember what I did in the first beat or the second beat. Like I don't remember. I'm like, you really got to pull it out of me because I just won't remember because I'm so focused on what's happening in the moment that I often forget. However, on the flip side, there are times where I have remembered something because it was an aha moment for me as a performer, but as an audience member, I was like, I felt like this visceral reaction to something. Whether I loved it or whether it was like, ugh, I felt some kind of visceral reaction. I just remember what the other question was, but I'm going to finish this one and then go back to that one because the visceral response made me remember. But are there any scenes that you've seen or that you've been in as a player in improv that you like will never forget because of one reason or another?
Oh yeah, oh most definitely. Yeah, I feel like everyone probably remembers, one like their biggest laugh or their best scene because that's the dragon you're trying to chase for the rest of the time you do improv for the rest of your life. You also not I don't necessarily remember too many times like we're not where I've bombed. I usually is like, oh okay, move on, short memory. Um, but I mean, I guess as far as even just in a scene, like your example of Harold, like for me, I'll just find okay, what's the one thing about this scene that I know I can remember? Because sometimes, like, yeah, I'll forget too because I'm either concentrated or even if I'm laughing at the scene that that was there. Like so, it's whether it's like, all right, what was my body language in this one? Oh, okay, yeah, I remember the thing now. Like I remember what this was supposed to be. But yeah, with the aha moments, there are definitely for sure things that things that will stand out. Whether it was you know a character choice, oh wow, I never would have thought of that. Okay, if this comes up again in this type of scenario, I want to try this move, or I want to try. Oh, that was a really solid initiation. Let me just put this in my bank, and you know opportunity comes up again. All right, I'll use that or use something in the spirit of that.
Mm, that's great. Which actually leads me into the question I forgot and then remembered and then almost forgot again, but I remembered it now. So there are like a lot of rules to improv, right? And there's a lot of different ways that people play improv. And so I want to ask, and this is kind of like a controversial question too, because I always ask for like the positive moments and stuff. But are there any rules in improv or things that people do in scenes for you as an audience member or as an improviser where you're like, I just don't, this isn't like my thing, like this isn't like what I like, you know? I mean, obviously people that are like steamrolling is obviously not a great thing, but like in general, or to that question, are there no like elements of improv that you're like, I think people don't quite understand what this kind of means, and I think it should be tweaked like this, if that question makes any sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. No, the first thing that comes to mind is protecting your a character that you're playing. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, it happens sometimes where it's like, hey, maybe you're kind of like, let's say, get pushed into a corner where is like a controversial type of role, or maybe you decide to play someone that, okay, this person's clearly racist or misogynist, whatever. Protecting the character, and so that one, this is clear that you are playing a character and not yourself, because that
Mm-hmm.
could be a mistake. Or, making it clear that, oh no, I'm supposed to lose because I'm playing the bad person. Let's make this as bad as possible, or set up opportunities to where, if the character I'm playing, like, so that I can be called out for this, where it's like, hey, this is obviously wrong, do that. I've definitely seen some shows, and even unfortunately been involved in a couple where there clearly wasn't a protected character involved, and things just went real
Mm-hmm.
sideways, and just
Mm-hmm.
that's no those cringe moments where, and then there's a moment of silence where it's like, someone sweep this, someone please sweep this.
And you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting because everyone in the back is like, should I sweep this? I don't know. Are we going to get somewhere? What is happening? And so and then you start getting the people who start like, yeah, so anyway,
Yeah.
Mike, yeah, what a scene this is. What a scene this is. Am I right? And like trying to get someone to like get the hint of like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna get this broom out here and sweep the stage.
Hmm.
Like trying to make it obvious for people. Um, that being said, Mike with a broom was obviously a dream improv scene for me because now I get to be Mike with a broom. But for you, scenes are based around a lot of like character, relationship, scenario, whatever it is. Is there like a relationship between two characters in a scene that you don't often see that you want to see in a scene, and or is there one that's so overdone that you kind of like want to find a way to change it into a unique perspective?
Hmm. It's like, I, I think I feel like there are times where I don't see good uh enough good group scenes where it's not just kind of a, like, one person and like the group. It's like, oh, it's the sergeant and the rest of the troop, but something where it's like, hey, this is a group of people, like maybe they're all like the same, kind of like a same, like, formal job or position where they all have the same goal, but of course, something's odd. Like maybe like in like an absurd scene where, all right, we're all like, going against, I don't know, like alien zombies, like, one of those things. Like sometimes it's hard to see those where, oh, this goes really well, where this is a really great good group ensemble scene that just kills. Um,
Hmm.
that that's something you don't always see a ton of. There, like, yeah, two-person scenes, like, yeah, you can definitely see that being knocked out of the park, a lot, because there are specific techniques to do, those sorts of things. But yeah, good fun, like a group absurdist scene that's not too far left, but it's just kind of that just right amount.
Hmm.
I was like, also not nearly enough deconstruction, because that's
Hmm.
one of my favorite forms. Like I would love to see more, more teams and shows like doing that.
Sure. That's great. I didn't even think about deconstruction. I think we rarely talk about it on this show, and so maybe we should talk about it more, do a whole episode on deconstruction as a form and improv element. Um, so this is now just a fun segue into nothing at all. Do you have any plugs or pitches, anything you want to share for the viewers?
Sure. Yes. So, because I haven't mentioned it before, I'm a managing director of the Pack Theater in Hollywood. We have a Twitch channel where there are shows every day of the week. That's just twitch.tv/ Pack Theater. So you can check out a lot of great stuff. And the great thing is, literally anyone could submit from anywhere. So we have shows, a lot of shows at times where, there are international people involved. There are, it's happening in a completely different time zone, like, or just people all over the state or city or wherever. It's a cool medium to be able to do that, especially since we're in a time where not a lot of physical theaters are quite open. So would like to, yeah, I can plug that.
Yeah, great. I love it. Also, I have some shows that are coming up at some point. Logistically, we're figuring it all out, but we do have a show with international folks, so it's really trying to organize everything for the 10-hour time difference. That's the big thing. Yeah. That being said, Royce, I really appreciate you being here on the show. I have one final question for you, which is kind of the reason the Improv Summit exists. And that question is, a lot of people come up to me a lot of them come up to me. A lot of them came up to me before pandemic, but even during online as we talked about improv being accessible from literally anywhere in the world. And people are always like, oh, Spencer, you do a lot of improv. Where should I take improv? And they always ask in that same voice. And then, I find it hard to answer that question because I think there's a lot involved in figuring out exactly what to do to answer like what do people want in that regard. And so I ask you this question as well. If someone came up to you and said, where should I take improv? What would be like one piece of advice or one tip you'd give them to help guide them on their improv journey?
I would tell them to take it as in as many different schools as they can. Even if it's just like, hey, doing a drop in here, or just doing like a level one, just to see, because there's so many different ways of teaching, so many different, like ideas and theories on like, oh, okay, well, this is what I think improv should be. This is what I think it should be. And also I would I would tell people, take it from different types of teachers. Take an improv class from women, from members of the BIPOC community. Take it from members of the LGBTQ plus community, because you're going to learn so much more. You're going to see different perspectives on it, which I think, like, the more perspectives that you have, it just makes you more of a well-rounded player. So like take classes at the PAC, at UCB, at Groundlings, at Improv Space, at now take them at international places. See how they are teaching improv. See how it's a little bit different. So I remember doing it was a seminar with one based out of London. Yeah,
Mm,
it was great because it was different, like just different perspectives, definitely different references for things, but the base level is still the same. That's that's really the advice I would give. Like, just like if you were learning about any subject, don't just learn from one source. It just behooves you to have more of a wealth of knowledge. If it's something that you're really interested in, gain as much knowledge as possible. Uh,
mm.
that that'll just help you be better, and honestly, it'll help you have more fun. Because if you learn, like, oh, okay, this is the, like, if you only learn like the Herald, it's like, and that's all you know, that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
um learn different forms, and I would say most importantly, learn from different types of people, because improv is for everyone and anyone. So everyone and anyone, now that more of them are teaching, learn it from them.
Mm, that's great. Definitely another point for diversity for sure. Because we know the trajectory of improv, where it started, and luckily where it's headed.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have different perspectives. And I've said this a lot on the show, and like when I teach improv, I also say this too. It's the idea of your lived perspective. Like if I take classes from the same groups of people all the time, I'm getting this, like you said, this one perspective. But when I take from different people, I may not have the same lived experience, but I'm getting different perspectives on lived experiences, and that's what I think is really wonderful to find. It's like taking in a hip hop improv class, a musical improv class, a two-prov class, a rap, not rap. I already said rap. A Shakespeare, well, hip hop and rap are technically two different things. Anyway, Shakespeare improv class, you know, genre classes like short form, long form. These are all different types of forms. They're all improv, but they all have a different meaning and purpose. And it's the same thing with like diverse teachers. I can take a long form with 6 diverse teachers and learn something new and learn something different and learn a different perspective, because the way in which things are taught and learned are going to be different based on your background. So I think that's a great point. That long-winded rant out of the way. Royce, thanks again for joining me here on the Improv Summit. I did say that was the last question I had for you, but as always on this show, I don't ever tell the truth. So I have another question for you.
Sure.
And that question is, you know, we've been talking a lot about improv. You want to do some improv?
Sure, let's do this.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Hell yes, and.
Hell yeah. All right, we're going to do some improv. Royce, what I need from you is the answer to this question. Do you want a location, a relationship, or a word?
Location.
Location. I'm going to give you 2. You tell me which one you want to go with. The suggestions are observatory and a fishing dock.
Ooh, observatory.
Great. Who would you like to initiate this scene?
I can do this one.
Great. All right. Thank you. Observatory.
Wow. You know, I never knew that Saturn's rings had diamonds in them. Take a look at this.
Wow. You know, I never knew Saturn's rings had diamonds in them. Take a look at this.
Yeah, I told you this.
Yeah, I told you that.
You just repeated what I said.
You just repeated what I said.
We're not doing this. We're not.
We are not doing this.
God damn it. Th- Baker.
Brewer. Brewer.
Stop this, Baker.
Stop this, Brewer. We've been over this a bunch of times now. Stop.
Every third Friday when we have the observatory group and we go stargating, you want to...
Yeah, that's what I said.
You know, just want to move on. Let's
just move on. Let's just move on.
All right. So just here, there, and... Okay. Wait. There's something moving.
I see this thing. There's something moving. Do you see that thing moving? I see it right there. It's moving.
Yeah. It's not one of the moons.
It's not one of the moons.
It's not an asteroid.
It's not an asteroid.
It's some kind of craft.
Yeah, that's what it is. I said it first.
You're not even looking at the telescope. How could you even see?
I have big eyes.
You have big eyes. That is not an excuse that has worked. Never.
It worked for the lady who painted all the big eyes.
Are you talking about that movie, the Big Eyes thing?
Well, Big Eyes, but it's based on the portrait lady. Who was the portrait lady? What was her name?
Like I know. Why would I know this?
I just know science. I don't know art.
Exactly. I am a scientist.
Not an artiste.
Gotta hate you, Baker. I really do sometimes. Why are you? Is there a reason you're like this? Like, did you parental issues at home? Did your big sister kick you in the head a few times when you were a baby?
No, I'm just a jackass.
Ah, well, I guess that explains things then. You know what? Fine. That's
just call me Jack. Jackass.
You know what? Let's just try to finish out this third Friday observatory group with one nice...
How about with a big bang? Get it? Because this is how the world started with the Big Bang.
All right. So now let's adjust the telemetry on this. And okay. You know what? Why don't you look into the eyepiece first this time? Go ahead. Tell me what you see.
I will.
You will.
Oh, I see a bunch of stars and a moon and some planets.
Yes. Planets, stars, moons. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know. I just told you that. That's what I saw in there.
Oh, no. But I told you that first. I saw it.
No, I literally just looked at it. You told me to look into the eyepiece first.
Right. Like, I was looking at that before you even put your eyes on the eyepiece.
You're such a jackass.
Ah, how does it feel?
Doesn't feel good.
Good. Now, thank you for participating in this role play. Your time for
Your time.
up.
Oh, time for 10:30 is almost up. You can leave now.
No, I'm the therapist.
No, I'm the therapist.
All right, I'm just going to charge you extra time.
All right, I'm just going to charge you extra time. Here's your bill.
You know, Karen, can we reschedule
Karen, can we reschedule
for next week?
all my appointments for next week because I'm just going to be here a while.
Assistant. You do not talk to my assistant like
You
that.
don't talk to my assistant like that.
You don't have an assistant.
You don't have an assistant.
I really should have stuck with what my mom said and just opened a pizzeria.
Yeah, you should have done that. I mean, I wish I had done what my mom said and opened up a pizzeria.
Bye. Good. I can't with you. Like, find another therapist. You need help that I can't give. That I'm.
No, wait. Jake, come back, please.
We're
Please.
not rolling
Please.
pin. I'm making.
Jake, please. Please. Jackass. And scene! Thanks everyone for coming to the Improv. Someone as always, I'm Spencer, that's Royce. See you next time. Bye!
All right.